Silencing a critic doesn't mean confrontation. Sometimes the quietest responses are often the loudest. In this video, I want us to look at 5 ways you can silence a critic. But before we get started, very quickly, I am Amanda Smart, and welcome to Smart's Take. I love to talk about things that will inspire you, things that will motivate you, and occasionally I bring people on here where we can debate and talk about more fascinating topics. So, if any of this sounds interesting to you, kindly consider being a member of this community by subscribing, liking, sharing this video, but most importantly, leaving me your feedback in the comment section. Now, let's begin. The first way you can silence a critic is to first recognize the critic. If you're anything like me, I used to be a huge critic of myself. So you've got to learn to first eradicate the negativity from within. I was this guy who always say, that wasn't good enough. I could have done better. I could have said this word. I could have pronounced it in this way. I shouldn't have made this mistake. So I had all these doubts, all this question mark because I was expecting perfection. So the first thing you need to understand is that there is no perfection, even when it comes to you. It doesn't matter how eloquent you are. It doesn't matter how smart you think you are or the status at which you hold yourself. You're always going to make mistakes. So embrace your mistake, learn from them. That is how you silence the critic from within. Number 2, people are always going to find something to talk about. It doesn't matter how great you are. People are always going to talk about something. So one of the best ways to silence a critic is by saying nothing. I know this sounds a little bit crazy, because if somebody says something about you that isn't true, if somebody criticizes your work, or if somebody misinterprets your work, all you want to do is just tell them that is not true. That is not my intention. This is not what I was going for. This is not what I mean. Here's what it means. But you got to understand, some of them are just craving attention. So when they criticize you, when they claim to expose you, sometimes say nothing, do nothing, that attention that they're seeking, when they don't get it, they will easily fade away into whatever obscurity they came from. Another way you can silence a critic is to accept, but then redirect. You remember at the start of this video, I said, no one is perfect. There isn't any sort of perfection. And a person like myself that make a lot of videos where I'm talking, where I'm sharing my life experiences, and I'm taking different stands on various subject matter, it is possible that someone will disagree with some of the things that I say. And as a matter of fact, I welcome the disagreement, but I want you to tell me what is it that you disagree with. I don't want you to argue based on your feelings alone, because like I said, we all have different experiences. So sometimes if you want to silence a critic, acknowledge what they are saying. Listen to what they have to say. You acknowledge everything and then you redirect. So if a person tells you that all men are cheaters and you disagree with what they say, sometimes acknowledge that, yeah, I understand that some men are cheaters, but not all of them are. If they're still insisting that all men are cheaters, don't waste your energy. Just redirect your focus. Tell them that, thank you, appreciate your opinion, but I think I'm going to move on. There is nothing more damaging when you refuse to engage in a baseless argument, with an argument that will just drain your energy and then thereby giving your critic more attention. So sometimes that's all you have to do. Just ignore them, acknowledge what they're saying, and then redirect your focus. Another way you can silence a critic is to self-reflect, not self-defend. Here's what I mean. Oftentimes when people say things, there are some element of truth to them. People might look at things in ways probably you didn't consider. So if a person is criticizing you or calling you out for certain things, look into it and see if there's any truth in it. Sometimes if the critics are right, let them know that they are right. Tell them that, you know what? I think you're right. Thank you so much for pointing this out. I'm going to do better. there is nothing wrong with accepting that you've made a mistake. There's nothing wrong with accepting a mistake that someone has pointed out. But then what you don't want to do is to constantly accept everything they are saying. If you're going to accept, it should be based on merit. It should be based on the fact that there is some sort of truth to it. Because if a critic is right and then you are there defending yourself, it makes it seem like you're just defensive. It makes it seem like you don't even know what you're talking about. So if you want to silence a critic, give them their flowers. If they call you out on something that you're wrong about, accept it and move along. It does not define you. The one error that you make does not mean that you're not intelligent. It doesn't mean that you're not smart. It doesn't mean that the critic is right about everything that they've been saying about you. So it is important to self-reflect. Don't always self-defend. And last but not least, let your work do the talking. I have been fortunate to meet a lot of critics in my life. Some of them are within my circle. Some of them criticize me behind my back. Others find subtle ways and means to do their criticism. So instead of engaging into some sort of confrontation and telling a person that, listen, why are you criticizing me? What I choose to do is to focus on working. You know, if somebody tells me that I don't know how to act. For example, I'm an actor. If somebody tells me I don't love the way you act, it's okay. I'm going to focus on myself and keep improving and let my work do the speaking. If somebody tells me that you don't even know how to speak on the microphone, you shouldn't be talking, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to keep on talking. I'm going to let my voice, my message do the arguing on my behalf. So when a critic says something about you that challenges your work, your passion, don't respond to them. Let your work do the talking. Let your passion do the speaking on your behalf. I want to say this before I wrap up this video. It doesn't matter what you do. You can be excellent in 98% of the work that you're doing. The 2% that you slip off a little bit or that is a little bit weak, people are going to point it out. So my advice to everyone out there is focus on the things that make you strong. Focus on your 98%. Focus on the support that you receive 98% of the time. Don't be bothered by the two confused people who are craving attention and trying in every way possible they can to drag you down. Don't allow a 2% of negativity to ruin your life, to ruin your work, or to discourage you from doing what you really love to do. So I'm going to end this video here, but I really hope you got something valuable out of today's video. If you did, kind of tell me what was most interesting to you. Let me know what you find to be valuable, what you disagree with, what you agree with, what approach you might take. Give me some additional things that you would do, things that I probably didn't mention in this video. Until then, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your time, and I will see you in the next video.